Good evening and welcome to Mountain Bears. I'm Aeson Knight, Master Psychic and Jaded Bitch. And of course, with me tonight is Techy Joe. How are you, darling?
Woohoo! We're here.
Yes.
We're here. We have not committed any felonies this week, which is a miracle.
It is a miracle. There is no felonies been committed yet.
Like, the weekend is young. The night is early.
Yes.
Ooh. What did you find?
Well, if you own a Honda or a Kia, you're probably heard about the $200 million settlement class action lawsuit against the Korean car maker. If you haven't, Honda and Kia were sued over potential security default in traditional metal key ignition systems in certain models. The entire amount might not be used to compensate the owner, but here's how you can share in it. $200 million 4 hours ago.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
And that's why they're currently, you're having issues with some insurance companies.
Yes.
Getting coverage for your Kia vehicle. Because unfortunately, or however you want to word it, TikTok brought to light that there was security theater going on with these vehicles.
Yes.
They were so easy to steal, it was ridiculous.
Right.
And Kia's current only fix that they can offer is, here's a low jack. Or no, not low jack. What is it?
Here's a club.
Here's a club. Sorry, my 90s references got bass backwards for a second.
Yeah.
We wish we could get low jack. Not really. Yeah. Rethinking that now.
Yeah.
Having the ability to find our cars is probably a problem.
Yeah.
I joke. But let me put it this way. Right now, if someone stole our vehicles,
we'd be happy.
I would not appear at that person's trial for the theft and in a negative way, okay? I'd be like, well, yes, technically what they did was wrong, but I am more than willing to forgive.
Well, I am at this point about ready to, I don't know. I've left it at the altar. And for those in the faith know what I mean. I've left it at the altar. Because right now, JC, I hope he has a sucky fucking weekend.
I can't even blame him. I really can't. This is how, screwed up Kia is.
Right. Okay.
So we finally find out what happened. And y'all, they started doing recall repairs with the same parts they were recalling. Let that sink in for a second. They started doing recall repairs with the same parts that they were recalling. So effectively, we somehow apparently magically got the good one, in terms of, or at least it hadn't failed yet, and it had some age on it, of our ABS module, just to turn around and get handed the recall replacement that was exactly what they wanted to stop us from having the experience of. Yeah, they forgot to recall their own part bed, is what it results down to. So yeah, we've been at recall of the recall part, excuse me, we've been at replacement of recall replacement part, and so we find out today the dealership was sitting here fighting on our behalf to install the same part that was gonna fail again.
Yep.
And I give Kia corporate credit, is at least they finally got the service manager to understand, don't do that.
Right, because the ABS module was replaced when I replaced the transmission. Over the bent axle, not the transmission.
Yeah, we've done a few rounds with this. Like we've replaced a transmission. We probably didn't need to. We just needed a better mechanic to catch the issues. Not that, I mean, I can't be mad. Here's my thing. I'm trying not to be the mad people. I'm trying to go, okay, so we're going to end up with a car that has pretty much had everything but the engine rebuilt. I mean, and it's one of the good engines. We got one of the good Sportages. Like if we were going to get a Sportage, we got the right year because we avoided the crappy engine.
Right.
We just got the crappy brake module.
Right.
It's like, okay. But ours worked. Like ours did not fail. It was still going. It is a 2008. It was the little ABS module that could. And it has kept going and going and going like the Widow Energizer Bunny did it was.
Right, because I went back and looked at the repair. We got it a year ago in June.
What?
We replaced the transmission and ABS module in June of last year.
I don't think we replaced the ABS module.
Yes, we did. We had to replace the ABS module because it had gone non-concurrent. And we replaced the transmission.
Yeah.
The ABS module was more than the transmission.
I thought it was a different module.
No.
Because I thought it was the speed control unit.
The speed control unit
or something
was on the back of the transmission, and they don't replace that. They just replace the transmission because you have to take the transmission completely apart.
Yeah, it's kind of a nightmare. Like,
it's been a nightmare.
And no, it's nothing's getting better on this one. I mean, because we're weeks into this.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, all we can really do right now is truthfully, honestly, be kind of mad. Because it doesn't...
Right.
Like, the math isn't mathing, okay, guys? Like, like, in our personal budget, what they expect their average consumer to be able to handle for reimbursement later is become astronomical. Like, I'm sorry, just Kia, figure out how to pick up a phone and call and set up a rental. Like, you screwed up, you knew you screwed up, you've known you screwed up.
Right.
It was none surprising to anyone that this was screwed up.
Yeah. And like they've screwed up so many times. And this is just on the Sportage.
And that's just the Sportage.
Yeah.
Like, we're a 2 Kia household.
Right.
The other one has been a lawn ornament.
Yep.
For a year and almost a half now.
Right.
Like a year and a half lawn ornament.
Right.
We're waiting on the settlement to finalize on that one.
Right.
It's gotten preliminary approval.
Right.
I'm just waiting for that puppy to turn final approval.
Yep.
And then I get to call them and tell them that I... Oh, and that's the other thing, is apparently with the first engine failures they were having, they were doing the same kind of rejection thing. And apparently there's magical sentences for Kia. So guys, if you're watching, you've had a Kia problem and they've refused your engine replacement. Apparently you do not start by telling them your engine failed. You start by telling them you need service related to a recall.
Right.
And that is the magical phrase that lets them take your broke down vehicle with a blown engine into the shop as a recall related issue, where they will then diagnose it as having everyone say it with me, a blown engine, the thing that was obvious to everyone else, and then they can replace it.
Right.
And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. But no, apparently that is the magical phrase.
Right.
To get your engine replaced is you have to pretend like you are so dumb.
Right.
That you just don't know what's wrong with your car. But you seem to be having a recall related issue. It's like, are y'all flipping kidding me right now?
No.
Like,
what's getting you is this company is in 5, count them, 5, a handful of lawsuits.
Only 5?
Yeah, well, currently.
Only 5.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's not like these are low stakes lawsuits. It's not like, well, this one's for $100 and this one's for $5,000. No, these are 5 class action lawsuits that are multiple hundreds of millions. I think one has already hit like $1 billion something.
Right.
Or it will by the time you're done adding up all the costs.
Right. So we've got all this running at the same time, and then we have a problem, which it may resolve itself. We'll see.
Oh, sorry. And Shannon was talking about the Takata airbag inflators. God, that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. I'm sure there are people that are just like, I could do without airbags.
Yeah, but you can't,
like, because
the federal government.
But I mean,
yeah,
it's considered optional safety equipment now, isn't it?
Right. No.
Like, isn't. I think it's still, as long as you have seat belts, because we can't test airbags.
Right.
Like, if you clear the light and like you've removed the part. I mean, you don't want to do that and not tell someone you did it.
Right.
But no, I think you can legally have a vehicle without airbags, can't you?
Nope. They are now standard issue.
Well, yeah, but seriously, you can't own a car without what?
Seriously, you cannot own a car without airbags.
Okay, well, technically you can. Technically you can. You can legally disable an airbag, but it's generally for medical reasons.
Right.
And it has to be done by an approved shop, and they'll install an on-off switch.
Right.
So, now.
Right.
Okay. Well, anywho. Because, I mean, there's some classic vehicles that have never had airbags that are still on the road.
Right. But no,
if your car if your car came with airbags like every other vehicle since, I don't know, 1995, Like, when did that become standard equipment? Was it like 95, 1990?
No, 2008, 2005. Like my 95 did not have airbags in it.
Your 95 should have had airbags.
My 98 Buick did not have airbags.
When did airbags become standard in cars?
Anyway.
Wow, front airbags have been required in all new passenger vehicles since the 1999 model year.
Yeah.
Oh. Side airbags aren't specifically mandated, but nearly all manufacturers include them as standard equipment in order to meet federal side protection requirements. Oh, isn't that weird?
Told you my 98 Buick did not have it.
Wow.
However, the other problem is Aeson has fallen in love with the Nissan.
Yeah. He is all about the standard equipment of brake for me.
Brake for me, control my cruise control because the idiots in front of me cannot drive.
Yes. No, he did a full test of the will it stop for itself today. Not intentionally, it just happened.
Yeah, I didn't do it on purpose.
No, he didn't do it on purpose. Granted, it was one of those moments where I was already reacting to the vehicle that had slowed down in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
He was not, and then the car did it for him.
Right.
Like, it was one of those moments, I think another second I would have been like, honey, you need to stop. And then the car's like, Arr! And I'm like, okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, it lets you know it is not happy about it, too, which is amazing.
No, it does not gently brake on that front. Like, no, if you're about to have an accident, it brakes hard.
Yeah, it'll lock up.
Well, actually, it locks out. Well, basically, it throws the brake pedal to the floor.
Yeah.
Like, there's no... Nope, passenger side brake did not work. The invisible brake was not functional. It has never been functional in any car I've been in, and I've been complaining about that for decades now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the way back to an ex-sister-in-law who, I swear to God, it would have made more sense for me to be in the driver's seat.
Right.
As a child.
Right.
Yes.
Lovely. Hey, honey, you have a recall issue on your ignition.
Mm-hmm. The same one. Like, once we get the car to run...
Yeah.
Then I need one of the clubs. Until we can get the ignition fixed.
Well, maybe when they do one settlement, they'll do the other, and they can just give us a whole fucking new car.
I know. Oh, Brenda's like, love when the passengers slam their foot on the floor. I know, right? Like,
yeah, but what was weird is that was the same reaction you get when it takes over the brake.
Yeah, he's like, honest to God, he looked over at me when it happened, like, what the fuck, man? And then, like, processed, wait.
I was about to say, fuck, here we go again, no brake. And it's like, ding, 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 ding. Brake
it was
initiated.
To let him know.
And it literally says brake control initiated.
Yep. It took control over his brakes. And again, he's looking at me like, because this is how much I drive. He looked over at me like, why the fuck did you do that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not me. Like, don't get me wrong. For the first time in my life, I would have been thrilled if the invisible brake pedal on the passenger side worked.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't lock me out, I'm fine.
Well, at least it didn't pop out like a breathalyzer and go, how many did you have for lunch, honey?
Yeah. But anyhow.
He had nothing to drink for lunch but Starbucks.
Yeah, I'm living on Starbucks. But anyhow, I'm really loving I know what I want next.
Okay.
What's bad is the reimbursement check. It may pay for next.
If we, here's my worry is we're not going to get reimbursed for this. Like, they've made a lot of promises.
Mm-hmm. And they've yet to deliver.
I'm pretty sure they've written a check their ass can't cash.
Well,
In terms of they're not gonna.
Right.
Like they're going to sit there and needle through it and go, no, we're not paying for that. We're not paying for that. We're not paying for that.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your $110
Well,
or
we will
11
see.
or 17 or whatever it was.
Whatever. We will see what, because they've said they will reimburse, and the settlement says they have to reimburse for towing, they have to reimburse for rental.
Oh,
No, I
God,
will
no.
not buy another Kia. I will rent a car weekly until I'm able to get something else.
Like, I mean, no. Don't get me wrong. Here's my thing. And I had to really differentiate it out. I think Kias are pretty. I love the features inside my car. So I think my car is pretty. I think the features inside my car are awesome. I genuinely enjoyed the physical act of driving it. I can't handle the customer service. I cannot handle the build quality.
Right.
And the combination of the warranty service plus the build quality, no, I want out. This is an abusive relationship that is kind of rapey that I really want out of because I didn't consent to this.
Right. And no, we will not buy, and it's like I will not own a Toyota ever.
Really? What's your anti-Toyota?
The Toyota Camrys, I do not like them.
Okay, why don't you like the Camry?
Because at 75,000 miles, you have to replace the engine. At 125 miles, you have to replace the transmission, and then you have to replace the floorboard, and then you have to replace this, and you have to replace that. They are 75,000 mile vehicle.
Fair enough, but at least you knew it from the beginning.
Right.
And that's the old Camry.
Again,
Like, I know what you're talking about. That's a mid-90s Camry problem.
Yeah.
Like, they were all like little lemmings off a cliff. Especially when you were coastal.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, those were fun. I actually had friends in college. Their dad bought each of them when they went to when they got their license, Toyota Camrys, because they were at the time the safest vehicle on the road. Yeah, minus that fact that it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
Like you got to do lots of work.
Currently, the two brands I like is, of course, Buick.
Yeah.
And the Nissans.
Like, hi, Buick. Hello. Yeah. Can Daddy needs a what is it? Encore? Entourage? Which one do I want? Enclave. That's the one I want. I think. Like, I'm getting confused with their E's, okay? That's starting to mess me up because I can't, I can't figure out the size differentials. Like, it doesn't tie well.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, is anyone else following that? Like, I think it's the Encore should be the little baby SUV crossover.
You want the Encore GX.
No, I don't want the baby size one. I want the one up.
That is the one up.
Is the Encore not the
Encore GX? That's the one that looks like it's 8 years old.
See, I grew up in a Ford family, and this is my problem: is I don't know much about Buicks or GM in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I struggle.
Either that or the Envision. The Envision's kind of cute and blue.
Ooh, they bring out new ones. I mean, granted, I still technically want my minivan, but I'm just saying, if Buick wants to send me a car, like, if someone is hearing Sarah McLachlan music while watching this video, and in the arms of the angel,
yeah,
you want to send us a Buick. I'm more so teasing because I don't know that we can afford the taxes on that situation. Like, there's problems with being given a free car. Is it's not free. It will cost you money.
You know,
Like
or you
there's
can take on the well, no, it's the new Buick. It's the you either want the Encore or the NK.
no, the Encore is the baby size. I want the Enclave.
Yeah, you want the
Yeah,
Enclave, and I want the
I want to
Nissan Sentra 22.
like I want the big Buick. I want the big Buick.
Yeah,
Like, because I'm sorry, in my family, for those who did go with buying a Buick, they bought the biggest damn Buick they could find, and then they parked it sideways across the driveway because they owned a fucking huge Buick.
right.
And that's how you properly park a fucking huge Buick.
Well, I grew up in
It
Buick.
is.
I grew up in very good Buicks. Like my grandmother retired one at 500,000 miles. It was 10 years old. She had it at 500,000 miles and it was still running. She just retired it because she was tired of it.
500,000 miles in a car, I think you do get exhausted. 50,000 miles a year, though?
Yeah.
Jesus. I think I got the math right. Had owned it for 10 years, it had 500,000 miles.
Yep.
Yeah, 50,000 miles a year.
Yep.
Dear sweet Jesus.
Well, honey,
That's, God.
she got up and went.
Everywhere, apparently.
Yes.
Like, she's
Baltimore
like
2 and 3 times. Baltimore, Cleveland.
Devin would like me to know it's doable, Joe.
Well,
It's doable. I've had 3 oil changes in 1 month on the Kia Soul. That car is 5 years old and has 100,000 on it.
Right, but no, she had to take me to Baltimore. She took the husband she was dating at the time to Baltimore. She drove to Florida and back at least twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year, and to Ohio every other weekend. And off to Kentucky. My grandmother got a cell phone because we got tired of her answering machine.
Fair enough. No, I can understand that one.
Yeah. But now it looks like Buick is
so
gone.
Devin's Chevy Sonic has almost 300,000 miles on it.
Right.
Yeah, no. This is why I had a whole moment. I really did. I sincerely did. At the end of 2021, when my Kia Soul said night night and turned off, because that's what it did. Like, we're driving along 50 some miles per hour, almost 60, and it just went night night. Right. And that was it. It didn't make a noise. It didn't do a thing. It didn't blink lights. It didn't come on like, oh my God, something horrible just happened. Right. It just went nap time and down. Right. That was it. So, I had this whole moment with it when, because I thought it was a belt broke or, something stupid. Like, it had a component just fritz out. Replace a fuse, it'll be fine. Some sensor got clogged. Something thought the car broke down. And it was horrible. No, the car died. And I'm sitting here and I had to mentally re-rack every single one of my expectations of owning a vehicle and go, am I stupid? Right. And am I unreasonable? Right. Did I show up exactly every 3,000 miles for an oil change? No, I did not. I will freely admit that, 90% of the world. Did I show up perfectly at 3,000 miles? No, I did not. Right. Our manual tells us we can go many more miles between oil changes. Right. I didn't do that. I could not wrap my head around the idea that I was only supposed to change my oil every 7,500 miles, right, which is what they kept trying to get me to do. And I'm like, no. I'm sorry, I'm old school. Maybe I'm doing it too much, but, it's my money and fuck the environment is all I can say for you on that one. I hope you recycle well. Right. Because I grew up with this. It's 3,000 miles. This doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
Like, so I'll overchange my oil. No one ever pointed that out as a problem.
Right.
You know, if anything, my car should have been in better condition. It just burns me.
Right.
Like, it really took me back to basics of, like, am I crazy, people? Do I have unrealistic expectations? Am I dumb? And I really hate when things do that to me in my life, where I have to go all the way back to square one and work my way forward with, am I a complete and total moron?
Right.
Or, you know, is this so screwed up, this should never have happened?
Well, it's so screwed up, it should never have happened. And now I know why I'm leaning towards the Nissans. Buick has stopped making cars. They only make SUVs now.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, you hadn't noticed like, it's all SUVs. It's all SUVs.
Right. So yeah,
Like,
I will be going Nissan because literally when I talked to the lawyer in Chicago that's handling 2 of the lawsuits against Kia, and congratulations on you coming to a win today. You're a very sweet lady that was very nice to you, and I had all the information I needed. That's the only car company that she does not have a lawsuit with.
Yeah.
Is Buick and Nissan.
All right.
That is scary in today's America. You know, when a car costs as much as a house.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go into a little bit of news. It's not just, how sucky cars are, because this is Mountain Bears, and yes, gay men talk about their cars like they talk about their husbands. Speaking of, someone getting handed something, hey, DeSantis, what are you going to do with that $1 billion deal you lost because of your stupidity?
Oh no, what did DeSantis lose now?
Disney.
Oh, right. Disney cancels $1 billion Florida investment amid feud with DeSantis. So Disney is canceling a $1 billion project that would have relocated 2,000 jobs to Central Florida amid a dispute with Governor Ron DeSantis, who has passed multiple bills targeting the company after it opposed one of his signature policies. Josh D'Amaro, who oversees Disney's parks, sent an email to employees Thursday saying the Orlando project, which had been on hold and faced criticism within the company, has officially been canceled, and that employees won't be relocating from California to Florida. Given the considerable changes that have occurred since the announcement of this project, including new leadership and changing business conditions, we have decided not to move forward with construction of the campus, D'Amaro said, according to the Los Angeles Times. This was not an easy decision to make, but I believe it is the right one. As a result, we will no longer be asking our employees to relocate. Ooh, so basically, oh God, were they basically going to move like a whole production studio?
They were building the animatronic studio in Florida. Now they're building it in California, where it's more expensive to build.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, so Disney announced the possibility of a Lake Nona campus nearly 2 years ago, DeSantis communications director Terrell Finsky said in a statement. Nothing ever came of the project, and the state was unsure whether it would come to fruition. Given the company's financial straits, falling market cap, and declining stock price, it is unsurprising that they would restructure their business operations and cancel unsuccessful ventures. Oh, bless your heart trying to put spin on that.
Yep.
I'm sorry, does anyone here think that Disney is in severe financial straits? Really? I'm sorry. Things I don't believe. Like,
it's like really, really.
like the level of screw up that would have to occur for Disney to be in a bad position. Like, oh, is Disney having financial problems? Despite Disney's success in raising prices, its operating income from linear customers has dropped from $9 billion in 2020 to $8.5 billion in fiscal year 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So they have done some stunts. But it doesn't sound like they are like, oh my God, we're going to die.
Well, here's the thing: is they've been waiting on these deals to get done so that they can like buy the property, do this, do that. They've had to take a step up. They are now, and I do mean now, already bought property. They will move forward with the deal that they have there to build the campus in California.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It looks like most of it has to do with the streaming service.
Right.
That looks like a large part of it. That and yeah, that mostly looks like their biggest problem.
Yeah.
They brought back Bob Iger.
Right.
So that should be all right. I'll give him credit on that one.
Right.
Like, if you brought back Bob Iger. Yeah, that means you want an infusion of cash real quick. But that may not be poor performance.
No.
Like, if you go back to Bob Iger, like, I'm looking real quick. Iger ran Disney for 15 years and oversaw some of the brand's most successful deals, including buyouts of Pixar, Marvel, home of Star Wars Lucasfilm, and the formerly Murdoch-owned 21st Century Fox.
Right.
Like, Bob Iger can make some deals.
Well, not only can he make some deals, but he can also really make a company sing, but he won't play games.
Right. He doesn't F up the actual core services and brand.
Right.
Like, he doesn't pull, like, any, like, stupid stunts.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not like when Apple goes through major upheavals in its CEOs,
mm-hmm.
and then it's like it's a totally different company for a minute till everyone goes, ew.
Right.
No, we want Steve Jobs back.
Right. And it's one of those that's like, no, he don't play.
Yeah, the mouse will cut a bitch.
Yeah. The mouse has cut a bitch.
Oh, yeah. Many times.
Right.
Like, they don't screw around.
Yeah.
Oh, so Devin has a question when we're ready.
Awesome. Let's rock it.
All right. So Devin 31678, will I receive my unemployment?
Right.
Brenda said only 8.5 billion. Oh my, they'll need to cut out brunch.
Well, looking at that, why don't you grab out your handy calculator?
All right.
Also, not only the $1 billion deal did they lose, but average salary was $120,000 a year.
So 2,000 employees times 120,000 a year
Equals.
Okay.
Equals.
$240 million. So you would have had potentially 2,000 people / families.
Yeah.
With at least an average income of $120,000 a month, so $240 million.
Yeah. A
No
year.
longer moving to Florida.
Yep. Not counting all the relocation packages and house buying and house everything. I saw estimates of almost $17 billion DeSantis cost them. How's that
Yeah.
racist working for you, DeSantis? Looking at it, I feel that you do recover your unemployment. You do receive your unemployment, although it does cause you to look at other directions and paths, and you're going to probably have to wait a minute. With the moon popping up there, you may think you're not getting it, and then you get it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. All right. So let's see what else is making the bear news.
Oh, let's see what we can find. Like, sorry guys, it has been that kind of day.
Yep.
Where it's like, allergy season is here. Like it truly is.
Yeah.
So where are we in the news?
We're all over.
Let's see. Republicans in White House resume debt ceiling talks. That's going to be a while.
Right.
Oh, Biden set to announce new military aid for Ukraine after meeting. That was 2 hours ago.
Yep.
Ooh, Moscow bans 500 Americans from Russia, including CNN journalists.
Interesting. Disney World is closing its Star Wars hotel it opened last year.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yep. Orlando, Walt Disney World pulls the plug on Star Wars Galaxy Star Cruiser. It's two-night immersive experience that let visitors pretend they were on outer space voyages and sci-fi characters, food, and storylines. The last day of the Star Cruiser will be September 28th. The company announced that Thursday afternoon. The project debuted its public just 14 months ago. With just 100 rooms available for booking, the Star Cruiser represents less than 0.5% of Walt Disney Resort's on-site rooms inventory, Richard Nell says, creator of the Theme Park Insider. Yes, bookings cost thousands of dollars per person, but Disney has likely spent far more money per visitor rolling the Galaxy Star Cruiser than any other property in its portfolio. Even if fully booked, Star Cruiser was just too small for the huge company like Disney to run as any more than a vanity project.
Oh. Well, of course, then again, that makes you wonder if this is like a first of many. Like this was the.
Oh, I think so.
Like,
I think he's going to start cutting and cutting and closing and building California. Like I think that he will literally take the LEDs off of it, ship it to California, and open it up there.
probably. Here's the thing I want to think about. Like, I don't know. Does DeSantis not realize who he's messing with? Like, do you know how easy it would be for Disney to just turn all of Disney World into a giant Death Star? Like, just encase the entire Disney campus in a giant, like, half dome and make it look like a Death Star? Like, I think that would be hilarious.
Well, can you believe what would happen if they just closed it?
I know, that's what I'm saying. But as a parting shot
Mm-hmm.
for your now defunct, giant, 70, 80-year project,
Mm-hmm.
is you shroud it in a Death Star.
Right.
I think it would be fun. I think it would be funny.
I think it would be hilarious if they just literally chose another location. I don't know. Oh, what is that place
Georgia.
where is it?
What?
trying to think. It's in Iowa, Blaming Iowa, or something like that. All the country stations always, come to here, and it's like the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
And they just picked it up and moved it out.
What,
and all that's left there is land that they sell at a penny an acre.
Oh, you're talking about moving the entirety of Disney?
Yeah.
No, it's not quite that easy. It's not a circus. They don't get to throw it on a flatbed and, roll it out of town.
If they can move a castle from England to the U.S. brick by brick.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Because, some of these things are built at a scale.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, but can you imagine the Exodus?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God, the traffic tie-up.
Right.
Just watching as, like, bit by bit, there goes Disney World.
Right.
Oh. 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 I hope they take the Cinderella Castle last.
Right.
That would.
Oh no, I would take it first. Like that would be my warning shot against the bow.
Well, no, I'm just imagining like that last night is with the only thing left is the Cinderella Castle, and they just put off the largest fireworks display they have ever done.
Right.
And then they load it on a truck and roll it out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it would look like a hurricane evacuation for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It would look worse than that, I think. Because, like, some of those trucks are going to be massive.
Right.
Like, you're going to have to shut down the entire portions of the interstate to get some of this stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it's not like you can sit there and slice it with a meat slicer and take it out in chunks. Some of it's going to have to come out as one big piece. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, plus all the people. Yeah, that would be fun.
Plus all the people that he's going to happily pay to relocate. Buy their houses.
Well, granted, Disney does not have the best reputation for that.
Well,
again, they don't.
Right.
Like, if you're talking like 120,000 a year employees that are high skilled labor or very specific skilled labor, yeah, Disney will pay some pretty pennies.
Right.
If you're talking about general concessions and, cast members, things like that, Disney does not have a good reputation for that.
Right.
Like, they effectively already don't pay their cast members enough to live in Orlando. Like, almost none of them. Right. The ones that do technically live in Orlando typically live in their cars.
Right.
Because you can't find anything in Orlando for what a cast member makes.
Right. For now.
That's the sad reality. Oh, yeah, very soon that could,
Right.
That could change.
Right.
Welcome back to the swamplands that Disney once was. Because what? Disney World is built on top of, like, garbage.
Yeah. Land they could not build on.
Could not sell. No one wanted it. Why the hell would you want to build anything there?
Right.
They had the wrong market. They kept trying to sell it bit by bit. They kept trying to sell little subdivisions, and no. Someone came in, bought the land cheap, and went, because the original version of Disney World was actually supposed to be like a live-work community.
Yeah.
That changed. I wish he had kept some of that from the original designs
Mm-hmm.
and built up some of it as like, so to speak, employee housing.
Right.
Like I want to say employee dormitories, but that gives a really ugly taste.
Right.
But left a lot more of it as, affordable housing for the people that actually work here.
Right.
But I digress.
Yes. Now let's go on up to New York. They've got their own little press conference occurring there.
Oh, goody. All right, so what we got over here in New York? Oh, George Santos comms director throws parting shot in resignation letter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the communications director for embattled Representative George Santos, Republican New York, resigned this week and threw a parting shot at her serial fabulous boss on the way out the door, according to a report. With respect for my colleagues, the people of New York, and most importantly myself, I am honored to tender my resignation. Well, that was a horrible time for a commercial to pop up. Neza Woomer said in her resignation email, Scripps News reported. Unfortunately, you never took 1 point of professional advice given. Santos narrowly survived Democrats' move to expel him from Congress Wednesday, with House Republicans voting largely along party lines 221 to 204 to refer the matter to Chamber's Ethics Committee. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good grief. So, George Santos' latest federal campaign filing lists himself as treasurer, supplanting the previous treasurer whose existence was never verified.
Yeah.
Okay. Robert McGuire, research director for Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, noted Andrew Olson's removal from the paperwork in a tweet and also pointed out that Santos is still using the personal email address that was listed for Olson in the earlier filing.
Right.
Crew filed a complaint last week, this day Santos was indicted on charges related to other problems with his campaign filings, asking the feds to investigate whether the New York Republican was illegally operating a campaign committee without a treasurer. There was no immediate comment from Santos.
Right.
Dude.
So, yeah. 13 counts of federal indictment was reckoned on the web of fraud and dissent, the prosecutor said, overlaying his fantastical public image as a wealthy businessman. A fictional biography has begun to unravel after he won elections last fall. Santos, 34, was released from custody on a $500,000 bond following his arraignment in Long Island federal courthouse after 5 hours after him turning himself in to face charges of wire fraud, money laundering, theft of public funds, and making false statements to Congress. He could face up to 20 years in prison if convicted. I wonder if he can vote from prison, since every Republican voted for him not to do that. He only spoke a few words in court, answering "yes, ma'am" to the judge presiding over the hearing, which lasted about 15 minutes. His lawyer, Jeff Morris, said Santos plans to continue his re-election campaign and asked the judge to permit him to travel freely through. He did surrender his passport. We have finally got to address all these allegations, Murphy told reporters as he entered the courtroom. Among those allegations, prosecutors said Santos indicted supporters to donate to a company under false pretenses that the money would be used to support his campaign. Instead, they say it was used to money his personal expenses, including designer clothes, his credit cards, and car payments. Santos is also accused of lying about his finances to the Congressional Disclosure Form and applying for and receiving unemployment benefits while he was employed as regional director of an investment firm that the government shut down in 2021 over allegations of a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
Dear God's New York, what did you invest in? The indictment seeks to hold Santos accountable for various allegations of fraudulent screens, bizarre misrepresentations. U.S. Attorney Price said, taken together, the allegations of this indictment charges Santos is relying on repeated dishonesty, deception to allocate the halls of Congress and enrich himself. Santos has given no indication that he plans to step aside because of his indictment. In the past, members of both parties have remained in office while facing charges. I cannot believe he's still running. Who is he running up against? Mickey Mouse?
Possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's just anyone else going, what the hell happened to politics over here? I mean, there was a point in which it okay, it was just politics being politics being politics.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are we just finding out how screwed up it's been all these years because no one was reporting it? Or is it seriously gotten worse?
Right.
Like, it's just gone off the rails of no, take campaign funds, just do whatever.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, apparently the resignation was, you have never taken 1 point of professional advice given.
Yeah, that was, although I still love, I'm with Brenda, it was a good parting line to say, honored to give my resignation. I do think that the second best quote from it was, you have never taken 1 point of professional advice.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that's an employee that could be described as disgruntled at this point.
Disgruntled.
For good reason.
Trying to save her career.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, I hope every one of his staffers quit. Right down to his dog walker that he's not paid.
That may not exist. It may just be him.
Yeah.
He just tried to run a campaign without a treasurer.
Yep.
Like, what the hell? Like, no. Sorry, dude. I don't know who you are or what you think you're doing, but yeah, you gotta hire people.
Right.
Like, no, you have to have staff. I mean, they don't have to be good at their jobs.
Right.
Like, you can hire dumb people.
Right.
Like, you can hire people you are sexually interested in and just give them stupid titles.
Right.
That works. It's not a good idea, but it works.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't just run around and pretend to be the treasurer of your campaign and pretend to be this for that. And yeah, you have to hire people.
All right, so here's the new techie thing, and you can explain this to all of us.
Oh, goody.
Surprise
techie article.
Yep. And then we will go to break and we'll come back with your favorite episode.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Oh, favorite segment.
Yes.
Oh, no, not ChatGPT. Oh, which is now an app ChatGPT makes its debut as a smartphone app on iPhones. So ChatGPT is now a smartphone app, which could be good news for people who like to use the artificial intelligence chatbot, and bad news for all the clone apps that have tried to profit off the technology. The free app became available on iPhones and iPads in the US on Thursday and will later be coming to Android devices. Unlike the desktop web version, the mobile version on Apple's iOS operating system also enables users to speak to it using their voice. The company that makes it, OpenAI, said it will remain ad-free, but syncs your history across devices. We're starting a rollout in the US and will expand to additional countries in the coming weeks, said a blog post announcing the new app, which is described in the App Store as the official app by OpenAI. So yeah, it's been more than 5 months since OpenAI released ChatGPT to the public, sparking excitement and alarm at its ability to generate convincingly human-like essays, poems, form letters, and conversational answers to almost any question. But the San Francisco startup never seemed to be in a hurry to get it onto phones where most people access the internet. So yeah. Oh, so this is the next generation of, here, well, this is where this gets fun. So the tech world kind of lied to you when we said that the hers and the hims, the series, the elixirs, and the, because I'm really trying not to set it off right now, and the Googles were technically AI driven. They're not pure AI, and there's a distinction there. AI driven means that it can take in natural language, interpret it, and return a response. Actual AI is a thinking, so to speak, a thinking consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just taking, this back and forth. It's actually generating and expanding on it in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So it can solve problems that go beyond, like, hey, her, what's 2 plus 252 million?
Right.
And can start to dig deeper into deeper concepts. Because right now, if you guys have noticed that on your hers and the hymns, when you ask some questions, really all it can do is search the web for those terms and then throw it back at you and go, is this what you meant? Sometimes it's right. A fair amount of the time it's wrong. Actual AI starts to get the context of, like, what you're talking about. Like, as you continue the conversation and what your interests are, it starts making connections.
Okay.
Hello.
I know. I'm sitting here listening.
Okay, sorry, it looked like I'd lost you.
No.
Okay. But no, so that is going to be on our phones, and that should be actually kind of useful.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm one of these weirdo people that is not afraid of, like, a future in which we at least have some AI assistance. I know a lot of people, like teachers especially, are getting really upset with Chat GPT.
Mm-hmm.
And at least in theory, that you can get some very intelligent essays out of it.
Right.
Like, you could theoretically ask it to write you an essay about whatever the teacher tells you to write an essay about.
Interesting. This could make blog writing very interesting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, that's the next frontier, though there are some caveats. No one's yet defined who owns the output.
Right.
So, and that's a very tread lightly concept.
Right.
Because fundamentally you can get into a situation where with the AI, there's still no clear answer legally
Right.
who gets copyright on what it generates.
Right.
As the querent, do you get copyright because you asked the question? Do you get copyright as the company who developed the AI that could produce the answer get copyright? Like, where does copyright end up?
Right. Because that's a big debate right now, is what is copyright? Mm-hmm. Where is copyright? And that kind of leads us into something.
Okay.
That SCOTUS dealt with today.
Oh, that who dealt what?
Supreme Court.
Oh, what did the Supreme Court deal with today? Oh yeah, so so Brenda brings up on TikTok, one guy has it create recipes, others also have used it, showing what it can do.
Right.
And Brenda also points out, as long as they give me better advice than I give myself.
Right.
Yeah, no, and like this whole idea of AI and using it to like actually have a conversation with,
Right.
that I don't really have a problem with. The problem that I think most of us have is that if we turn over work to it,
Mm-hmm.
like it's one thing if a student's going, I don't really understand, say, um, Charlotte's Web.
Right.
I'm trying to write an essay about the book, but I feel like I don't understand it. Can you help me understand some of the, of like this point or that point, or why did they do this? That interaction with an I think would be awesome
Mm-hmm.
and would extend the educational experience in a way that would really, really benefit a lot of students.
Right.
Like if it could give more resources and give more specific, like, answered questions and remove that I feel dumb barrier.
Right.
Like, I don't want to raise my hand in class and be like, I really don't fucking get this.
Right.
Like, you know, versus the actual ability that it has to be like, write me an essay on Charlotte's Web about this.
Right.
And it could.
Right.
Like, it's like the early days that, like the Alexers had.
Mm-hmm.
When there were a lot of teachers reacting negatively to like its ability to do your math homework.
Right.
Granted, the Elixirs came through, Amazon came through on that one and did kind of start to detect
Mm-hmm.
if you're doing that, and kind of steer you back to, you need to do this on your own.
Right.
Like, that's not what this is for.
Right.
All right, so SCOTUS.
Yes.
So California-based tech companies win Supreme Court internet liability cases. The Supreme Court provided wins to a pair of California-based tech companies Thursday. The court gave favorable rulings to Twitter and Google, tech companies headquartered in San Francisco and Mountain View, respectively. The cases were Twitter Inc. versus Tamna and Google v. Gonzalez. In separate cases, the Supreme Court deemed that neither company was liable for aiding and abetting ISIS, as families of terrorist attack victims asserted. In its case, Google claimed that Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, enacted in 1996, meant that it was not liable for content from third parties that it hosted on its sites. However, the court did not rule on the merit of Section 230. It said that neither company had the liability necessary to invoke the protections.
Right.
So basically, the Supreme Court said you don't even have to go argue 230. You're not even at that level.
Right.
Like, what occurred isn't even part of 230. You're just, how could you?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Basically, they said, nope, 230 stands and we're not dealing with you.
But yeah, so the Twitter case came about because an ISIS-linked terrorist killed 39 people at an Istanbul nightclub in 2017, including an American. The plaintiffs argued that Twitter did not take enough action to suppress ISIS on its platform. Similarly, a U.S. citizen was killed by ISIS during a 2015 terrorist attack in Paris. The family sued Google for purportedly promoting pro-ISIS videos on YouTube, which the tech company owns.
Right.
Yet we think it's sufficient to acknowledge that much, if not all, of plaintiff's complaint seems to fall under either our decision in Twitter or the Ninth Circuit's unchallenged holdings below. We therefore declare to address the application of SS 230 to a complaint that appears to state little, if any, plausible claim for relief. The court wrote in the opinion of its Google case. Okay, so literally, okay, I got that a little wrong a minute ago. What they basically said is you don't have to argue 230 because we don't even think they made a case
Right.
that you would have to argue.
Right.
Like they're coming in and it's very tangential.
Right.
Like what did Google do to you?
Yeah.
Show us where Google hurt you.
Yeah.
And it's like we can't really follow the line of reasoning for how Google hurt you.
Right.
Which is a legitimate thing. Like, I know I just made it sound stupid, but it's literally like, show us how Google hurt you.
Right.
If you can't show us how Google hurt you, and it was their intent to hurt you,
right,
where are we supposed to take that?
Right.
Google didn't hurt you.
Well, not only that, but Google's not responsible for the content, because Section 230 is why we have the internet of today. That says that the platforms are not responsible for what is put out there.
Right. Which is, I mean, it follows the same general concept as you can't sue the state for the road necessarily.
Right.
Just because you're on it when you get hit by a drunk driver.
Right.
The sheer existence of the road itself doesn't make it part of the claim.
Right.
Like, unless there were preventable conditions and reasons, like a malfunctioning stoplight, a malfunctioning, like there was road damage, road construction, and, they created a situation. Otherwise, you're just suing the state over a road because it exists.
Right.
And you were on it.
Right.
And it's like, show us how the road hurt you.
Yeah.
The road didn't do this to you.
Right.
Would be the parallel on this one.
Right.
So yeah. Granted, 230's taken a lot of heat. Because there are instances in which 230 has been a problem. Because you turn around, I think 230 was at the center originally of why revenge porn sites were so hard to take down.
Right.
Because they initially claimed that we're not responsible for what people post.
Right.
And it's like, that's different. No, you're specifically creating a portion of the road.
Right.
That it's intentionally for revenge porn.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's
that's not right. But they're also, really looking, I think it's interesting they've said, no, we're not doing this. We're leaving 230 in status. Twitter is not responsible for if ISIS posts is posting. You follow them. It's like another suit that was still in the lower courts, and I think will be withdrawn, is people were suing the companies that made the horse antiviral, the horse medicine, for the death of their relatives.
Yeah, no. I'm sorry. They clearly, repeatedly said, do not use this. This is for the treatment of animals. This is not approved for humans. All of the packaging says not for human consumption. I am sure of that.
Right.
Or some version of for animal, for veterinary use only.
Yeah.
No, you weren't supposed to do this. Hi.
Yeah.
We're sorry your relative didn't listen.
Right.
And did everything that they weren't supposed to do.
Right. And that is like, hello? How many stickers do my ladder need?
Well, yeah. Well, and the sad part is the sticker was already on the ladder, using your analogy. The sticker's already on the ladder.
Right.
It's not the droids, we are not the droids you were looking for. It's not like that. It's not a magical label that says no, like it's some weird thought control.
Mm-hmm.
No, seriously, stop using veterinary medications on humans.
Right.
Just don't do it.
Right.
Do not do it. Not meant to be done.
Right.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Well, especially if you're going to use them outside, this sounds idiotic, but which technically could never happen. But like, especially if you're not going to be under a doctor's care to use them,
Right.
which theoretically your doctor should never
Mm-hmm.
give you veterinary medications for a human.
Right.
Like that's not how that works. You really need to question your doctor.
Right.
Like, you got to be in some severely bad situations for that to become plausible for a trained, licensed physician
Right.
to consider. Like, if you're part of the Donner Party, then listen to the doctor going, well, I've got some cat Valium over here.
Right.
Maybe take the cat Valium if you're in the Donner Party situation.
Maybe. But, we see this in prepper videos, and it really gets to me. This idea that you can just do, you can take fish antibiotics. They're the same thing. No, they're not.
I mean, are we talking about like some of the core components are the same? Yes. But no. No, it isn't. And like, my God, how much fish antibiotic would you have to take to equal? And like, if you have to do that level of math, like just process that. If you have to do that level of math,
right,
and that's all assuming that this isn't stabilized with something that's harmful to humans but safe for fish.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that it's not in a buffer or a stabilizer or something.
Right.
That is perfectly great for fish. Fish don't give a shit.
Right.
But humans don't react so well to.
Yeah.
We make no claim at all on this show to be qualified in any way to give you medical advice. We're giving you medical non-advice here, which is known as don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense. Why would you do that?
Because
you can't explain that to me in a way in which I'm going to be like, okay. Except for like a Donner Party situation.
Right.
Like if you are crashed into the side of a mountain, if you are in some horrible, like middle of nowhere, trapped for weeks, cut off from the rest of the world.
Right.
Take the risk. If a medical professional says, take this.
Right.
It's not ideal.
Right.
But we'll fix the damage later.
Right. But here's the other thing with this thing. Is this wasn't a medical professional that said take a horse antibiotic. It was a failed con man.
Right. Well, and technically it wasn't a failed or a horse antibiotic. It was a horse dewormer.
Right.
If I remember correctly. Because we're talking about ivermectin.
Right.
Yeah. And no. Again, like the active, like always pay attention to this concept, guys. Active ingredient is one thing. A lot of things have a similar active ingredient. Like I have in my little, I'm 40, soon to be 41 collection of pills, because if you're 40 to 41, you know what I'm talking about. You start to get a little basket, looks something like this. Sounds like a little pharmacy. And over here, I do have, 2 different means of taking diclofenac.
Right.
Which is a lovely little pain medication. And the active ingredient in both of those is the same. One of them is topical. One of them is, a pill form that I swallow.
Right.
Just because it has the same active ingredient does not mean that I should squirt the gel that I use topically down my mouth.
Right.
Not going to end well.
Right.
Conversely, crushing the pill and just rubbing it on me is also a bad idea. Same active ingredient, but it's not the same.
Right.
This is what you're doing when you're using pet meds.
Mm-hmm.
Is this was formulated to specifically work in a given situation.
Right.
No one is picking up their fish and pushing a pill in. Are they? Right. Seriously? Are you going to try that? No. You mix it in the water. You mix it in the water.
Yeah. It's insane. All right, guys. Let's take a break.
Okay, before we take the break.
Okay.
Or Brenda says, Aeson will give you herbs from the yard to fix it first, Joe. He can try.
What are we... Excuse me, let's back this up.
Mm-hmm.
What are we fixing?
She's going with, if we're in the Donner Party situation, you'll just have like a fanny pack that you unzip with like here, it cures cancer. Here, it's gonna... Like,
no, I don't want to carry molasses in a fanny pack ever. Especially blackstrap molasses. That shit you can't get out of anything. Furthermore, why do I need a fanny pack of it? I'm in nature. Most of the resources are already there.
I know, but long and short of it is she's saying that you will give me herbs for whatever ails me. Yeah.
Well, yes, I could, but you won't listen.
Well, as you recently taught me, he'd probably just put some belladonna in some whiskey and call it a day. Do not try that at home.
I am not giving a recipe, but, Everclear and 2.5 grams of belladonna is a very lovely tincture at 1 teaspoon per day for sleeping issues.
Stop it. No. Don't fuck with belladonna, guys. Don't fuck with belladonna.
Belladonna tea is a lovely mixture if you want to go to sleep. You got to know how to use it.
Exactly, Devin. Exactly. Reminds you of practical magic. This was the joke. Oh, yes. So, no, we do not play with belladonna at all whatsoever. I don't. All right. So with that, give him time to peruse his reading library as he checks the book my sister gave him.
Yes, because I know it's in here.
Oh, God. Oh. Well, if it's in someone else's book, then we don't have liability, do we?
No.
Oh, Lord.
But anyway.
I'd just like to end this week without getting sued, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
I guess.
You're really cavalier about this not getting sued thing. Like, why?
I'm already in 5 lawsuits at the moment.
Oh,
and it's not as bad as you guys think. It's all against one company, and yes, we're in all of them.
Well, yes, technically we are part of the class action.
Mm-hmm. This is the reason why you should do your research.
Anywho. Oh, it can't be that early in the book.
Actually, it is. It's page 52.
Oh, Jesus. Like, I'm sorry. I feel like that's like a science kit from the 50s with, radioactive isotopes.
It
Like,
produces visions, but safer alternative are available today. According to Cunningham, it's best to avoid.
B. Cunningham agrees with me.
Well, understandable, but if you're a priestess of Hecate, Belladonna, or Cece, you might want to do a little bit more research before 1983. All right, guys, let's take a break, and we'll be back.
Oh, yay.
Hi, this is Sandy Starr. I'm a psychic and I work on Keen, and I have been working on Keen for over 22 years. You can reach me on 01068. I deal with a myriad of subjects, but I do specialize in relationships, marriages, divorces, is he cheating, is she cheating, whatever the dynamic of the relationship is, I will guide you through. I've got amazing radar for cheaters, so I will tell you the truth if he or she is cheating. I can help with any subject you need me to help you with besides relationships, and I look forward to hearing from you. Again, you can reach me through Keen. My extension number is 01068. I really look forward to hearing from you and helping you with whatever you need me to help you with.
Hi, I'm Tracy Van. I'm a psychic medium and I work with tarot cards. I also practice Reiki and access bars. I would like to share with you what a reading with me is like. It is a blended reading of psychic and mediumship, and I deliver these messages exactly as they come through. I'm not going to mince words or add any padding. I am a professional, reliable, and honest communicator. I have readings available anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour. You can book a reading with me at tracyvann.com. That's TracyVann.com. And no, I'll always tell you exactly what you need to hear.
Hey everybody, Natalie here from The Pendulum's Path. If you are in need of guidance, direction, spiritual connection, healing, or more, you have come to the right place. I have worked as a psychic and a medium for over 3 years, connecting people from all over the world with their loved ones, giving them insight and guidance into their current situations, their past healings, their blockages, and what they need to know in order for them to have a better future. It would be my absolute honor if you would come to my website at www.thependulumspath.com, visit my shop. I have a whole bunch of crystals, oils, balms, mystery boxes, and more. And visit my services. I offer 15-minute, 30-minute, and 60-minute sessions. I also have email readings available if you're not comfortable with the one-on-one session with me, or if you just want to try me out. I encourage you to come visit me at the Pendulum's Path, and let's get you back on the right track today.
Hey everybody, Lady Gwendolyn here from Rowan Temple of Light, and I'm here to tell you about our events this summer. First up is Beltane in the Hills, May 13th, and that is from 1 to 6. We have entertainment, we have a bunch of vendors, we have a fairy photo shoot. It's going to be exciting. You having any questions, reach out to Earth Magic or to myself. After that, we have Central West Virginia Pagan Pride, August 19th. That's at Holly Gray Park from 11 to 5 for the day. And we will have Sarah Masters coming down from Pittsburgh to be our keynote speaker. We have some great classes for that. So if you want to get involved, reach out to Rowan Temple of Light at Gmail, or just follow us along on Facebook at Rowan Temple of Light, and we look forward to seeing you out in the community. See you there.
All right, we are back. Are you ready?
Oh gosh, that was, sorry. I had a moment there. I will be in just a second. I lost it.
Okay.
Yeah, I will be right back there in just a second with it. Come on. Thought I had something. Or, well, I had it. Anyway, 1 second. I'll be right there. Oh, come on. All right, so I am ready.
Let's go. I'll get the poll
Am
up.
I the ass? Pardon?
I'll get the poll up.
All right, get the poll up. Am I the asshole for refusing to enforce my ex's reading rule on my 15-year-old son? So I, 45 male, have a son, Callum, 15, with my ex-wife, Amanda. We had an amicable divorce when Callum was 2, and so far we've been co-parenting quite well. Now, I could say a lot of things about Amanda's parenting, but the long and short of it is that she and her new husband cater their parenting style to their 2 younger kids together, 11 female and 8 male. Because of this, he's decreased his time at their house ever since he got the choice and now spends every other weekend at their house. Around a month ago, Amanda and her husband made a reading rule for the kids. The 8-year-old has to read 30 minutes a day, the 11-year-old has to read for an hour, and Callum has to read for 2 hours. I have no idea why they did this. I think it's because the 8-year-old is falling behind in his reading level and they wanted to keep things fair between the kids. I think that this is ridiculous as Callum is a very smart kid already and he needs that time for homework and relaxing since he doesn't have that much free time to begin with. Amanda let me know that she expected me to enforce the reading rule when Callum is at my house. I told her that I would not. She said that it was unfair to Callum's half-siblings that he could just leave for my house and not have to follow the rule, while they had to follow the rule no matter what. I told her tough luck, it's my house and I make the rules, not her. Well, now Callum is thinking about not staying with her at all anymore due to the increasing strictness of her and her husband's rules. She told me that it's all my fault, that he doesn't want to be around her anymore because I was so lax with the rules. I'm pretty sure I'm in the right here, but I thought it might be a good idea to get some perspective. So, am I the asshole?
Now, I think she's the asshole for trying to force Callum to do more than she's expecting the others to do.
Well, here's the thing though. This is where co-parenting I think can really fall apart for people.
Mm-hmm.
Is, when you try to force rules that don't make sense to the other parent into their household.
Right.
Or the parents disagree with a punishment.
Mm-hmm.
That that doesn't really fit their crime.
Right.
This kind of feels like a little bit of both.
Right.
Effectively, the ex-wife wants you to take on a rule,
right,
that doesn't make any sense to you or, quite frankly, I think to anyone else.
Right.
That, isn't going to positively benefit this kid to begin with.
Right.
And on top of that, you basically want to make it a punishment.
Mm-hmm.
And force him to do it so that he doesn't benefit from leaving your house.
Right.
I'm just sitting here going, okay, I think if you have here's my problem. At least with the ex-wife. If you're at the point in which you have said that she expected you to enforce the reading rule when Callum is at my house, I told her that I would not. She said that it was unfair to Callum's half-siblings that he could just leave for my house and not have to follow the rule, while they had to follow the rule no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where the problem comes in.
Process it with me, ex-wife. Process it with me. You're already hitting on it. Like, all the clues are there.
Uh-huh.
Your kids aren't liking this. They're not responding well to this. You have screwed up
Yeah.
because you made a reading rule instead of trying to incentivize reading
Mm-hmm.
for the kid who has a reading problem.
Right. And you're not going to make them
to,
like it.
right, or finding ways to create reading that they don't realize they're reading.
Right. And here's the thing. If you want your kids to read, find out what they like to read. I don't care what it is. If it's comic books, if it's newspapers, if it's encyclopedias, if it's granny porn. You want that child to read, supply the reading material. But you got to allow them to find what they like to read.
Start cooking from recipes.
Yes.
Have them read the recipe to you.
Yeah.
As in, hey, honey, can you help me? I need you to read this for me so I can make dinner.
Right.
Because then you're inadvertently getting them to read,
mm-hmm.
and probably stumble through some bigger words and words that they may not be used to at 8.
Mm-hmm.
So their vocabulary is going to improve, and it really doesn't matter if you've cooked this 1,000,001 times and you already know the words before they get to them.
Right.
They're helping you.
Right.
That can be an incentive to read.
Right. And you can also teach them fractions that way. But anyhow, the way this mother is going about this is so wrong, especially with the child with a disability. So funny.
Well, I don't think there's a disability involved here.
I bet you there's a disability with the child falling behind in their reading level.
Yeah, the 8-year-old may have. Okay, I see what you're saying. Is there's a possibility, because 8 usually is when they start diagnosing. Like, that may be a late catch, but
no, that's about when they start catching it.
Okay. No, that would make sense. Because that would be what, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, what?
Right.
5, 6, 7, 3rd grade.
Right.
8-year-old, 3rd grade. Yeah. Yeah. That sounds like when they're, yeah, that would make more sense. Okay. So, yeah, they may be catching a reading disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, there's no shame in a reading disorder, but there are very shameful fucking ways to go about trying to fix it.
Exactly.
And turning reading into a battleground, turning reading into a punishment, turning reading into, this family disruptive thing.
Right.
Like, you're not going to make them like reading. You're not going to make them a better reader. You're just going to make them hate this.
Right.
Like, so I'm going with not the asshole. I think there's a lot of things that parents do have to, in a co-parenting situation with their ex, do have to figure out.
Right.
I don't think this is one of them. And more importantly, I think you need to figure out you're screwing up.
Well, not only that, but, watch how fast your child leaves your house. All right, so now we're headed over to poly relationship advice.
All right, so ADHD and poly partner. Hey, sorry for the big post, but thought I'd post here and see if I can get some thoughts. How long is this? Oh, that is a little bit of
long at all.
Oh, it's a little long. All right, so I'm a male, 43, who has been with my bisexual female partner, 40, for 20 years now, and we have 2 young children together, too. Throughout our relationship, we have been monogamous, and also before we got together, we were too. However, about 8 months ago now, she explained to me that she wanted to explore, more than just kissing, with another woman, which she hadn't done before. After many discussions, we opened up our relationship so she could try this if she wished, and I could too. Additionally, she found out from her boss that she is very likely ADHD, and was finally confirmed as having inattentive ADHD about 3 months ago now. Now she has explored with several women since, which I'm fine with. Around January this year, she then said she thinks she is poly and wants to try also having a romantic relationship with another woman, with me as her nesting partner, if she finds one she connects with. You can imagine I've had so many questions and worries, etc. Around March, she was officially diagnosed as having inattentive ADHD and prescribed Elevance meds for this. She also met a single woman who is also mono, and after speaking with her for a few weeks and meeting her a few times for dates, I kept asking her to keep me updated on what she was feeling. As to me, I could sense her being different to me, often seemed off and not giving me as much attention, probably NRE I read about so much, and she was still and does now constantly message her pretty much nonstop most days, evenings. Even did so on a couple's getaway we went on to Amsterdam recently together to be alone. So one of the boundaries we have had in place from the beginning of opening our relationship for this has been not staying overnight at someone else's place, as I don't feel I'm truly comfortable with that at the moment. And she has also said she wouldn't want me staying over at anyone else's so soon either if I met anyone. Anyway, the first night she went to this lady's house and things got a bit heated, it became apparent the other woman didn't want her to leave, and as much as my partner felt guilty for leaving her and coming home. A day or two after this, they talked some more and discussed having a relationship together as well. However, the lady didn't know if she could share my partner and wanted some time to think it over, which I fully understand as I'm not fully comfortable doing so at the moment either, but hoping I can get there for her happiness and mine too, as I enjoy seeing her happy, and from opening the relationship so far, it has many added benefits in bringing us closer together and improving our sex life. Anyway, about a week later, this lady told my partner that she couldn't be in a relationship with my partner while she was still with me, even though she knows my partner has no intentions of leaving me and wishes to remain friends at the very least. My partner had a bit of a mini breakdown and took herself off to her parents' caravan in Wales to get away from everyone for about 3 days. It was a combo of the meds and rejection, which became too much, as she admitted to me after that her feelings for this other woman are stronger than she thought, but wanted to remain friends with her at least. Now my partner has asked others in poly groups on Facebook, for example, for advice on how to get over this lady, and almost everyone has said to keep her distance, meet others instead. However, she isn't doing this and is continuing to talk with her pretty much daily. First thing in the morning, she does message her good morning and good night, last thing at night. And if she is awake during the night, which she often is, as she doesn't sleep well, either she messages her she messages her then too. This other lady sounds as if she is also ADHD too, from what I'm hearing about her, but also hard work in terms of issues she has in her own private life, for which my partner wants to try and help her all the time. I'm proud that she wants to always help others, but I often wonder if she is helping her out at her own expense and holding out hope that this other woman will change her mind on having a relationship with her. I often have many questions regarding on where our relationship is heading with all of this, or where she wants it to go in terms of with me or another woman. Now the answer I often get back is that she can't answer, she doesn't really know still, and is trying to work it all out. She has sent me recommended books to read, etc., Polysecure being one of them, yet she has hardly even bothered to read them or anything else I send her regarding poly. I've listened to so many podcast audiobooks and read about half of Polysecure, which doesn't make much sense to me so far, yet she's probably read a few pages at best. If I ever suggest anything regarding different types of poly or advice or tips I've read, she often says to me, I just want to figure it out as I go along, and expects me to just be good with it and not answer questions. I partly think this is due to the ADHD as she struggles with being overloaded with things quite often, even with the medication she currently takes. I guess what I'm after is any advice, preferably from others who may be poly and also have ADHD, on how to make things easier and to help me to get her to open up more to me on what exactly she thinks she wants from a poly relationship, as it was originally just sex with a woman, but now more in some form. She will often open up to her boss at work on this, who is also ADHD, as she tells me ADHD people open up to other ADHD people and unload, so to speak, easier, which can be annoying at times to hear and know that she will openly tell her boss what she is thinking, yet not me. Or eventually, when I do get told much later and have questions, she gives me the response of she can't answer the questions yet, as she is just going with the flow, so to speak. Apologies for the long post, but I welcome any feedback, tips anyone can recommend. If anyone has some good podcast audiobooks they can recommend, let me know, as I find them easier than reading. I find that extremely hard to persist with for any subject, unfortunately.
All right. Yes, long post.
All right, so before we jump into that real quick, Shannon was driving. So going back to the reading rule, I wonder if the youngest is the golden child, so they punish everyone.
Most likely.
Basically.
Yeah.
If that's not entirely true, that's functionally true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So my advice is, one, listen to us.
Mm-hmm. Hi,
we're Mountain Bears. We're here every Friday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're a great poly podcast showing you functional poly in multiple directions.
Did you send him a link?
I will. I always send them a link.
Send him a link. So part one.
Part one. Right. Part two, Ethical Slut. It's on audiobook. It's in paperback. It's hardback. They have a blog and they have a podcast. Eat it up. Go for it. 2, date yourself.
Sorry, date yourself?
Yeah, go on a date yourself.
Oh, go on a date yourself. There you go. Or take yourself out on a date. One of the two. Either one's fine. Do both.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm just digging through this one in my head, and I'm like, there are so many red flags.
Right.
Like, I mean, OP, you've done amazing.
Right.
Like, you are doing all of the work for these two things, the open relationship and the poly.
Right.
And you are to be commended for that. You've managed quite well.
Right.
Like, I mean, to a point, I'm starting to wonder if maybe you need to go get tested for, like, a low level of autism.
Mm-hmm.
Because you seem really logical and really comfortable. Like, at a level that I'm sorry, I would more so associate with the people I know who are autistic.
Right.
Just saying. But no, anywho, not trying to diagnose you. I'm just saying you might have some surprises in your closet too, because you are handling this amazing. All right. But no, they're like, all right, take it away.
Yeah. So with that, 1, you want Ethical Slut. It's the best poly book out there. 2, I think that you've got to not ask questions. You've got to, however, listen to comments. Okay? Because I ain't met an ADHD person that will take up the space and talk.
Here's where I think it goes back to her boss.
Mm-hmm.
I know what he's talking about in terms of 2 ADHD people.
Mm-hmm.
Will have very long, deep conversations.
Right.
The trick there is exactly what you're saying, is there are no probing questions.
Right.
It just kind of happens.
Right.
And it's like there's this weird oh hell.
Right.
Ping pong.
Right.
Of idea exchange.
Right.
And eventually they get there, and like you would get ample information out of it.
Right.
But none of it is question based, because
Right.
questions tend to make ADHD people defensive.
Right.
Because they have to sort out how your emotional need for the answer
Mm-hmm.
when you ask the question. Because most of their life, when they've been asked a question, it's kind of a setup.
Right.
So, like, why didn't you do your homework? Is a really screwed up question.
Right.
And that's sort of what you're asking every time you're talking about, like, you haven't read books, you haven't done this, you might as well be sitting there going, you aren't doing your homework.
Right.
So that can be an ADHD problem.
Right.
Is sometimes the conversation just has to be the conversation.
Right.
And you get there eventually.
Right. And I think that overall it's better to listen. And you've done a lot of research into poly. It's clear from your statements, your commentary, your things. Now you got to learn about ADHD.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the ADHD is probably the bigger problem here.
Right.
And trying to interact with someone who is ADHD and get what you need from that interaction.
Right.
Even if it's not exactly what you want.
Right. And you want a dopamine chase.
Yeah.
So that's what ADHD does, is dopamine chases.
Well, yeah, that's a lot of where the motivation comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And again, sometimes it's not exactly where you plan to be.
Right.
But is it a bad place to end up? Not really.
Not really.
Like, you accept that life's a detour.
Right.
Like, that's really kind of the ADHD concept, is that life's a detour.
Right.
And everything eventually gets done.
Right.
Also, welcome to Poly. You're doing it well. What is the old long-standing joke? It's someone ADHD, someone who is, what is that one? They're perfectly set up. They really do, so to speak, need a third.
Mm-hmm.
Or they are to become the old ADHD or the old Poly joke. Because they'll be the one who reminds everyone to take their fucking meds.
Right.
And pay the bills so that,
Right. They need a handler. See, it's someone to pay the bills, someone to, handle the adulty stuff, and someone with streaming services, and someone that is an excellent cook and can cook multiple meals.
Oh, but yeah, it is common for ADHD people to be more polyamorous.
Right.
Strangely enough, it is one of those things.
Yeah, it works out that way. All right, so let's check the poll to find out if you're the asshole for not enforcing the reading rule. And you are not the asshole by 100% of the vote. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yay, not the asshole.
You're not the asshole again. All
Sorry,
right.
I was catching up with Shannon's comment there.
Yeah.
She has ADHD. She could have felt judged when she tried it in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Very often. All right, guys. So there is Psychic that plans this Sunday at 8 p.m. Be here. We'll be going over this week's plan. You're going to see a really active Aeson plan and some of the things I've put in place to compensate.
Okay.
Yeah, because Aeson's now the only driver for the moment.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Joe gets a vacation, but he also gets a to-do list.
What?
Yeah.
No,
So
I don't want to.
with that, take it away.
All right, so of course we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, Tracy Van, Caitlin Bell, and Devin. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, and how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
And with that, y'all, you guys have a lovely night, and we will see you Sunday.